Hello everyone and welcome, it's Shanna. Now I said on an earlier video that I am working on unfinished products. I have got this panel here that is called Garden Party. It's from Colorado Craft Company that I had stamped on, I think, a previous video. And it's been laying around my craft room and today I'm going to color it. I'm using Kendra's February Color Challenge for this, and I've chosen these alcohol markers here according to the challenge. Now when I printed the challenge off the sheet, mine appeared a little less vibrant than what the actual picture did. So I kind of tried to choose the markers from looking at the picture as opposed to what actually printed off from my printer. I think you're going to get different color tones just based upon your printer and perhaps the levels of ink that you have in your machine. So anyway, I think these are pretty good. They're pretty good representative of the colors. And it did say bright, so that's why I kind of decided to look at the picture rather than what I printed off because I thought my printer sheet was a little bit more muted than bright. So I pulled the picture back up on Kendra's challenge and looked at it a little more carefully and picked my colors from that. So I think the coloring goes okay until I get to the black cat. Now I started off just regular coloring and I've sped it up just because this is a whole lot of coloring. I'm coloring all of the little details and then I've got to color the grass and the sky background all around this little garden party scene. This is super cute. We've got these cats that have their little lemonade and looks like maybe a wine bottle, and they've got a little blanket with some little food on there, and they're all dressed up. They've got their bow ties and their hats and their flowers, and we've got this cute little banner and these trees, and it's just a really cute scene. And so I'm just going to work through coloring it, and I'm just using these alcohol markers that I have. They're not Copic. And I'm just going to get my coloring in and just kind of have fun with it. And I'm going to bring in some additional colors outside of the color palette to color in my cats and then my trees. For the trees, I'm going to use more of an olive green than a brown because I thought it would work better with the green color. And the green says lime on the thing, so I'm not sure that my green is quite bright enough. But I think everything kind of complements each other once we get it all laid down on here. And then I'm using this pink for the flowers. And I decided to use for the patio furniture. It kind of looks like that old school wrought iron patio furniture that they're setting on. And I thought it'd be cute if it was bright pink. And I'm just trying to work with the colors that are in the challenge and just bring them in over and over in all of my different elements. This is a darling stamp set, and I think it's a really good friend stamp set. It says, I miss our get-togethers, let's party, and I can't remember the other sentiment, but it's just a really good friend stamp set. And it colors up beautifully. I will tell you that when I stamped it previously, I used VersaFine Clear Nocturne ink, and then I used a clear embossing powder and heat set it, and that made it easier to stay within the lines. Now I think I've got a couple of gray kittens and a brown kitten, and then I do the black kitten. I regret doing the black kitten because I got way too dark and it smeared, and then I had to do a lot of cleanup. You're going to see that. But I just wanted a good variety, and I thought we had to have a little black cat. So here I'm coloring the black cat now, and he's he's just covering him up. And I'll come back in and lighten him up with some gray, and then I'll bring the zero marker in to lighten it up and to clean it up. And I think I can salvage it a little bit. I'm still not completely happy with the black cat and the area around the black cat, but I think it was salvageable. So now I'm taking in my turquoise marker, and I'm just coloring around all of my trees, leaves, cats, banner, everything, and just coloring my sky in with that color. And I'm, again, just sticking to the color palette and just trying to use the colors within it. And we actually have two blues. One is gray blue and the other one's like a turquoise blue. And I decided to use the lighter blue for the sky and then use the darker blue for some of the accessories that are within the scene there. And I'll have to go back in and fill some gaps and notice where I've missed some colors and I've missed inking up, certain things, and I'll come back in with it. And then I'll have to expand it a little bit so that I can get I'm going to use a die to cut this out, and I want to be able to have enough greenery and enough sky, enough grass and enough sky around it so that I could get a die around there and try to get most of the scene in. I think I will cut a little bit of it off, but I'm going to try and get as much of it as I can. And this is where I'm bringing in some more green, just making sure I got enough. I'm kind of comparing it to the color palette. And this cat here's got a little gray shading on him, but he's mostly white. I'm going to kind of blend that a little bit more and tone the white down on him and just fill in some areas that I missed. And then we're mostly finished with the coloring. I did speed it up tremendously. Just picking up on some things that I missed and coloring them in. I didn't color the food in on the blanket, and I realized that, so I had to go back with that. And then I wanted to go back over the plant that was sitting there and add some green to it. So now I'm going to go looking for a die. I'm going to use this stitch scallop rectangle die. It seems like I've been using this a lot, but this is one of my favorite nesting die sets. And I'm going to just line it up on there and take it to my die cutting machine. I'm going to add some tape. We'll take it to my die cutting machine and we'll get it cut out, and then we'll have a panel. And when I bring it back in, you're going to see I'm going to need to do some more coloring because I didn't quite color my sky high enough. And at first I grabbed the wrong marker. I grabbed the darker one. And so I'm going to bring in my 0 and just lighten that back up. And then I'll lay the turquoise color on top of that. And it'll be fine. I'll have to do quite a bit of blending to get it to match back in. And I think if I had just let it dry down, it'd be okay. But I could just see some lines in there. And so I'll start blending to try and blend it in. And then I just decide to, after I blend a little bit, I'll just decide to let it dry back and see if it, dries up okay, which I think it does do okay. So you can see a real good line there. And so I'm going to just start kind of trying to blend it in a little bit. Oh, I guess I didn't do a lot of that. I think I sped it up so much. But anyway, so I'm going along the green as well. And I'm kind of doing the edges just so we don't have white showing around there. This is where I come back in and start trying to blend it in a little bit. Just trying to make that top part match the rest of it. And then I'll go a little bit lower on there and do some more blending and I'm fanning it thinking, well, maybe if it dries a little bit, then, it'll blend back. Because it usually does blend back. Giving it another fan, I'm thinking, let's see, do I need to add more or should I just let it dry? And I'm still debating. I add a little bit more, and then I think I'm just going to let it dry, and I think it'll be okay. So now I'm thinking, what am I going to do with this panel? And I'm thinking I've got a lot of the turquoise and a lot of the green in there, but I don't have much of the pink. So I'm thinking, or the yellow. So I was thinking, do I do pink or do I do yellow? Do I do both? What do I do? So I'm just considering my options here. And then I decide that since there's very little pink in here, that I'll just go ahead and use the pink. And I thought the turquoise looked really good on the pink, and it popped on there. And I'm going to bring in the larger of that die set, the next step up, and I'm going to die cut the pink out. And we'll just have that stitch scallop panel underneath there as well. So I'm going to keep it real simple. I think the scene is very colorful, and there's a lot going on with it, and I'm just going to keep it real plain. So I'm showing you the back of it. It looks pretty funny how you can really tell what it is from the back. The black cat you can see is way too dark. And I didn't even use a black. I used a gray on that. It was like one of my darker grays. And I did that intentionally because I was afraid of black, but I still got it too dark. But I think it's workable and it's usable. So I'll get a card base and we'll just get this laid down on there. And then we're going to need to find a sentiment. And I had to look for that stamp set because it's been a minute since I stamped it out. But I'll find it and then we'll get a sentiment stamped out and get it added to this. And we'll have a cute little friendship card. So I chose to pop this up and just give a little bit of dimension, and we'll just center this on our panel. And then I'm going to go find that stamp set and get the sentiment. And I guess I found it. So I'm going to use this I Miss Our Get-Togethers, which is this block sentiment here. And basically you're going to stamp all black, and then the letters are going to be left in the color. And this is where I'm going to choose to bring the yellow back in so we can have a little bit of that yellow color to go with it. And I just happen to have that panel laying on the side there. And we'll just use it. So I'm just going to lay this down on my Misty, and I'm going to put it toward the top so that I don't waste a lot of that cardstock there. And we'll just stamp this, I don't know, 3 or 4 times until we get a good solid image. This is the first time I use that particular stamp, and so I'm going to have to stamp it several times to get it. Plus, it's a solid black that you're stamping, so I'll stamp it several times to get it. And then I thought about using a die, but my die wasn't the right size for it, so then I'll just use my scissors and just cut around it, and then we'll get it laid down on our card. So we'll just get this thing cut out, and then we'll bring in some foam tape, pop it up, and we'll get it laid down on our card. And I'm just leaving the slightest little edge of yellow on there. I could have cut right into the black, but I thought it'd be nice to have a little bit of just a very thin strip of yellow all the way around. So I'm just trying to leave just a tiny little strip there. And we're good to go. So I'll clip this, and I'm just going to wiggle around all over this place, trying to figure out where I'm going to stick this. And then you'll even see at one point I want to put it over the top of that black cat's head, just because I know that that's just not perfect right there. But ultimately I'll wind up putting here in the lower right-hand corner. And we're just going to pop it up with some of that narrow foam tape, and we'll get it stuck down there. And I'm going to just leave that alone. I'm not going to add any embellishments or anything to it. I think it looks cute. It's a busy scene anyway. There's a lot to look at, and I don't think we need anything else. So I'm just going to try and get this on there straight, and then we're going to call it done. So I think it turned out cute. I'm going to stay away from the black going forward. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.